go.
Here we go indeed. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Steve.
I'm Mark.
And this is SmokeySteveAndMarc.
Oh, yes, it is.
Welcome back.
Yes, hello.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, indeed. Yes.
It's been a percussion type of day here.
It is. But we do have a great episode for you.
We do.
We thought that, it's June 30th today, and this is the end of Pride Month. And we haven't mentioned much about Pride Month. Most of the festivities and the parades and all that kind of stuff had all been canceled due to Corona. And in light of, we have a lot of protesting and a lot of, unsettling things happening in the country, in our country right now. So pretty much Pride Month was kind of canceled or postponed. So we thought that it would be fitting, a perfect opportunity, to share our coming out stories with you today on the last day of Pride Month.
Yeah.
So we have had quite a few requests to hear it.
We have, yeah.
So I thought this would be a nice time. We both thought it would be a nice time to do it. But first, business, right? Business. How are you? How are you doing?
I hope you're well.
I do too. It's very nice to see you, let me tell you.
Sight for sore eyes. Do you hear that thumping?
I don't know. Do you think they can?
Can you pick up on that thumping? It's been happening since 7 a.m. It is now, what time is it?
It's
Who
late.
knows? It's later in the day.
It's 6.
It's well
maybe.
past tea time.
I don't know.
And it's been non-stop.
Non-stop.
The landlord's putting on a roof, which is good. And the shaking.
It feels, every once in a while, it feels like either a huge plane or something hit the house or an earthquake happened. The entire place rattles. And it's so loud. It started so early. I got up at 6:45 and they had I heard the ladder and all that kind of stuff. The thumping and all that started about 20 minutes later, and I left about 8:30, and I know, and it's been
my nerves are shot. Like at the point now, any boom,
the cat's
I'm like,
all Oscar's missing in action because there's just
I saw him in the
much
driveway
going.
when I looked outside.
Yeah, I
so
saw he was sleeping over
around.
on the
He's
the
around,
porch,
but there's all sorts of crap in the yard.
Oh yeah, ladders, and I mean the entire roof has been thrown over the.
And they're still going.
I just hope that this is not long.
I don't know, another day or so.
Yeah,
Another day.
but so that's going on. I worked today. I had a busy day today, but that's done with, and I'm off tomorrow.
You are. I'm off tomorrow and the next day and Friday.
Yes.
I took a couple days off because I can.
Yes.
Actually, my work anniversary is July 1st. July 15th, that was the month I started working there. It'll be 6 years, actually, at the same job. I've never held a job that long. And so my paid time off refreshes at the beginning of the month. So it's not FMLA time, it's not unpaid time, it's actual vacation days I can take.
Nice.
And I have the time, which is lucky, but I almost never get to take it for vacation because I usually need it because it's sick time.
Yeah.
So I'm getting in early, taking some time off that has nothing to do.
Yeah, it's nice too because you backed it up with the holiday weekend, and so it's you have a good chunk of days off there.
Yeah, I can just
So that's
lounge
good.
around and catch up on crap shows on YouTube that you don't want to watch, so I don't watch them when you're home.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And we got rid of DirecTV.
We did.
We've been talking about it on Facebook.
We let the roofers just cut the friggin' dish right off.
Well, they had to take the dish off to put the roof on, and then the landlord came over and said, we're not going to put the dish back on the roof because we don't want to drill holes in the new roof. And I'm like, well, where are you going to put what are you talking, what? But anyway, then I'm like, wait a minute. We hate DirecTV.
Yeah.
It's super expensive. We have 2 channels. No, I'm kidding. That's exaggeration. But we don't like them. They're extremely expensive. And
There's 8 ESPNs.
I know.
I care.
That we have to take.
It's not an option.
And the Wi-Fi that's connected to it is you have to have a phone line. You have to buy a phone. We just didn't like them. So this was a perfect opportunity to say bye-bye.
Yeah.
And we're going to get Xfinity. So I'm very excited about that. So there was one good thing that came out of it. And I guess whenever they're finished, a new roof. That's nice too.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, for him. I don't could care less. But
What, I want to be grateful that we don't have drips?
I know,
You shouldn't have them
right?
anyway.
You shouldn't have them anyway.
So.
You're right. You're right.
So
but
who's going to lead off here, the discussion of outness?
I don't know.
Being
I
out.
thought we didn't rehearse. We decided not to have like a script or anything like that, and we thought we would just share our stories with you. So I thought it might be nice if we just converse.
Okay.
I mean, unless you had another idea.
No, how about you start?
I start?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Because
tongue-tied.
it was your idea to converse.
Okay. So, it's nice to see you. How you doing?
Well,
No,
here's
seriously.
the thing. This didn't happen with my coming out. We all didn't call a meeting
No.
and sit down and discuss my sexuality.
Right.
That didn't happen for me.
It didn't happen with me
It wasn't
either.
like, an intervention with my family. People do that. I
People
know
do
people
do
that have.
Oh, yeah. They have coming out parties. They have major,
Event. They ruin
serious
Thanksgiving.
meetings. Yeah.
Don't
things
come
like
out on
that.
Thanksgiving.
Yes. No,
Don't.
no.
Don't.
No, but no, we thought we'd just keep it light and just make it like a conversation.
Yeah.
But my story really isn't that interesting because I didn't have a really, I never found it necessary to, run to the top of a mountaintop and, I'm gay. I never felt that I needed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Other people have. Everybody's coming out story is their own and their own journey and their own thing, you know. But I never felt the need to have a meeting and come out with every person that I knew or be out and proud. And I was never one to be super active in the gay community either throughout my whole life, you know. So, but I don't know. That's just, I mean, like I said, it's everybody's story. It's their own preference, how they wish to come out or not come out.
Yeah. Once I was sure, it was like 4 days, 5 days before. But people always say, well, when did you know you were gay?
Yeah.
I'm going to say puberty-ish, but I wasn't 100% sure until my first kiss. My first boy kiss. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, because I'd had girlfriends before that, and I thought, well, maybe I just don't like sex. How unfortunate, but oh well. And then I was like, oh, that's what that was. I was like, oh, well, that's not what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. It was similar for me, too, that aha moment, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh.
But I will say that in my own personal opinion, I feel that the majority of people who are gay are born gay. I do think that. I remember in my own story, I remember being extremely, extremely young, and I remember going into, young, like, 6, I don't even know, maybe 6, or 7, somewhere around there, and I remember sneaking into my parents' bedroom and climbing up in their closet, and I found an adult magazine. And I remember looking through it, and I'm very young, and I remember being very, very interested and intrigued in the male body. It wasn't like a filthy magazine, but it was a nudie magazine. And the picture was like bleachers, and there was a naked lady laying on one, a naked man on another, a lady on another, and a man on another. And I remember being very interested in the male body, like fascinated with the male body, and not interested at all in the female body.
Yeah.
Not grossed out or anything, but just not interested.
Not doing it for me.
Not interested. And that was that young.
Yeah.
So for me, and in my opinion, I think that, you're kind of born with it. Now, the lines can get faded and crisscrossed and everything with that, because like a 40-year-old man who has been married for 15 years and then comes out, was he gay the whole time? Was he born gay? Did he convert? Did he, So, everybody's story, again, is their own, and, but, that's just my opinion with that. I never really asked you what your opinion on gayness is. Are you born with it, or are you not?
I don't know. I kind of go by the theory that, okay, let's say gay and straight is on a spectrum, and gay is 0 and 100 is straight. Nobody is 100% gay, nobody's 100%, you know what I mean? It's all shades of gray, back and forth. I think most people polarize to one or the other, but there's there's shades in the middle, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's as cut and dry.
Right.
I've met many young kids though, and I was such an effeminate child. I mean, I played sports and all the typical boy stuff, but I also had this giant Barbie head that was my sister's, and I would put makeup on it and cut its hair. And that's gendered playing too. I mean, it doesn't mean a thing. But I was kind of mixed it up a little bit with that stuff. Mm-hmm. My first semi-adult stuff was I had a subscription to WWF magazine, and it would come every month, and it was it was sweaty men in tights. You know, I question grown men who still watch.
Right.
I don't question why I watch at this age, but I question why they do. So that was like my first foyer in my teens kind of into it. And then there was the awkwardness of like high school locker rooms. Because, you know, there's undressed men all over, and everyone's hormones are raging, and mine are under the surface, but I'm trying to keep it on the low, because I'm having these thoughts in the back of my head, but I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Catholic.
Yes.
So even if I was gay, I can't be gay, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to either have to make the best of what I consider a heterosexual relationship, or that's it. Mm-hmm. There is no other option.
Yeah, and that brings that into play too, I think, for a lot of people, especially those being brought up in a faith, you know, based like a religion, like a Catholic for me too. I know I always felt like it was wrong, like you know, like I had those feelings too, you know, with that too. But talking about like locker rooms and stuff like that, I loved the locker room.
I always had an A in gym, because all you had to do was get dressed. I was a terrible athlete. I was either too fat to run, and then I was too skinny to breathe. But I always dressed for gym.
Oh, yes.
Because at that age, I would sneak a peek.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would too. And I loved showering with other men. I loved all of that. There was a...
No, I didn't like showering with
I guess
other men.
it was erotic. I mean, there was that part of it, yes, definitely. But I always liked that. I always liked the gym locker room. And
I hated my body, so I didn't. That part I didn't like being in the locker room. I wasn't changing in the stall. Like there was a kid who did that, and God love him, it's just as well. But I would like, I could change a T-shirt in like one swipe, just to cover my torso again real quick, and then change with my back to everybody. But there was always the guys who thought they were hot shit, who would like strut around naked and then walk into the shower. Yeah. And who are they doing it for? Right. They want to be seen. Yeah. Not necessarily by me, but they want to show off. I'm like, fine.
Well, yeah.
You want people to look? I'll look.
Yeah.
Hell, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. But as far as my family goes, I never it really ever came out to my family ever. You know, I think
you didn't have to though.
I didn't have to. No, as like I said, as a young person, I always felt myself attracted to men, even at a very young age. You know, more so than women, and then you know into high school, and then I think I was exposed to it pretty young too, because I had an experience in Florida for a while, and that was my first kind of independent feeling, so to speak. You know, like running away from home, things like that. You know, you get, you know, feeling but I didn't have sex at that time. I didn't even really look at relationships or anything. I mean, I was 13 going on 14. Yeah. So that hadn't entered my mind yet. But I was exposed to the world, like an adult world down there, you know, in a club. You know, and so then, you know, I started seeing more stuff and seeing that it actually was kind of okay. There were other people who were like me in the way that I thought. And, you know, it was still all jumbled up in my head. But in high school, you know, I did have girlfriends. And, you know, and it always felt like there was something wrong. Now, my struggle with it was all in here. It was in my head, because I valued so much what other people thought. You know, I to this day still deal with insecurities and self-esteem and those type of things. At that time, you know, other people's approval was a pretty important thing, you know, and so as long as I had a girl with me or whatever, I was accepted, you know, in my head or whatever. So even into high school, I mean, it wasn't until pretty much my senior year that I even sort of was out about it, you know.
Yeah.
But I did date girls, and it would always felt like there was something missing, something wrong, just so very uncomfortable.
I know. I remember looking at them like, she's great. Look at her. See children in her eyes. Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Yeah.
No.
And I had, well, we're PG-13, but I mean, I had sexual relations with women, with a few women, but, you know, not the whole way. Like, I never had sexual intercourse with a woman, ever. I had some experiences with it, and it was so awkward and felt so... just like there was something missing, and you know, it was just such an uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for people who might be going through that at this time, you know, like themselves, you know, because I wish I would have known a little bit more prior to all that. And then finally, the only person that I actually came out to was a girlfriend of mine at that time, who went on to be my best friend for many, many years. We actually still chat every once in a while on Facebook. And I told her, I said, I have something to tell you, and she was supportive, you know, and everything. And then later on, it turned out that she had turned it inward on herself, and she blamed herself for me being gay. It didn't even occur to me at that time that anything like that would ever happen, or that that was a thing. Or, and then I can see it now. This is all her stuff she has to deal with. This is her insecurities and her, you know, all that. But, you know, but we cleared all that up, you know, because it certainly was not her. I mean, it was not.
No.
But she was the only person that I actually officially came out, you know, with a conversation with.
Yeah. I had a few.
You did. So. You did. His is a little...
because I was a little more, like, you know, indignant. But I was, oh God, I would have hugged a kid like me now. Do you think I'm gay? I'm not gay. That
was you.
That was me. I'm always the last to know shit. So I went out. I was into the raver sort of scene at the time, so I was all pacifiers and ecstasy and glitter. And that's where I had met the guy. I went to go visit a friend over my October fall break. So I was 1 month into college. So this was the year 2000. This was before Lady Gaga was born this way. You know, the culture was a bit different 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and I'm in a backwards part of the country. So dial it back more. And I was attending a Catholic Jesuit university at the time. So I stuck out.
Yeah.
And went to a party over the weekend. It was a rave at an airport hangar in Lebanon, PA. And had a boy kiss. And then my friend who was there obviously knew. And then all of a sudden, I journaled for like 3 days. And then I started not thinking with my new college friends telling them. Because I only knew them a month. So I thought if they're not okay with it, then, oh well, no big loss. So I told them, and they were okay. Then we worked our way into the high school friends I hadn't seen in like 4 months. They were okay. Then the best friend of all the years, who came out 3 months later. I was so annoyed. I was like, do you know how much I was dying since I was 12? I could have used someone to talk to. So selfish of him to wait to come out after, of course, you know. So him. Then my now brother-in-law, who was only dating my sister at the time, on AIM, on Instant Messenger, told him, no calls, no nothing. And he was very supportive. So then I go to my friend's room and I call my mother. No visit. I live 20 minutes from my parents. I'm not going there. So I call. I'm hysterical. She's fine. You know, she asks if, you know, well, does this mean you're bisexual? I didn't know my mother knew what that meant. Because I think of my mother as kind of school marmy and more sheltered. And I was like, I don't know. You know, and then the conversation ended. And then I disappeared for 3 days because I went to go stay with my then boyfriend. I think she thought I killed myself. I don't know. So Mom told Dad, who I found out later wasn't thrilled at the time. You know, I brought that boyfriend home to meet my parents. And Mom was like super, you know, okay with it, just to reassure me, I think. And my dad didn't even get up to say hello to him. I think finding out later my dad just didn't like him. Yeah. And I didn't like him either. So...
but he liked you.
Because other guys I had brought home after, my dad got up, handshake, hello, how are you? I mean, you lived with us for years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't... if he did have any hang-ups, he got over them. Oh God, who's left? Oh, my sister I called at my mother's request. I don't usually speak to my sister over the phone. We usually just meet at functions. So I called her. She was like, and? And then I went with a friend to my brother's dorm room because we were at the same school. And my brother is uber Catholic. I mean,
yeah, he is.
it hurts. Not the judgmental kind. It like makes his world bigger, not smaller.
Yeah.
It's that kind of practice.
Yeah.
But I was terrified at the time, and we fought like cats and dogs in high school. So I brought a friend, and luckily his now wife was there. They were dating at the time. And as I'm looking around at the icons and the rosaries all over the room, I tell him, and I brought my friend as a witness because I wasn't sure as the reaction, and he basically said, "No shit, I knew since you were 16." Nobody said anything to me.
You.
I mean, they were all respecting my privacy and letting me find things out in my own time,
journey,
which I get, you know.
Yeah.
And my mom was the most concerned, so I bought her a book called "Now That You Know," and it addressed religion, the state of your soul, AIDS, all the big concerns that parents usually have.
Yeah.
My mother was worried about the company I was keeping, so I invited her to Philadelphia. We went to Woody's. She had a great time. There was guys hitting on me.
We went to the parade.
We went to the Pride Parade. My dad came down for that. And we went to Pride. So they've been very supportive. They're not P-flaggers. Well, my mom wanted to open a halfway house for wayward gays. And my brother was like, halfway to where? Like, you know. My brother used to chat about having a little radio show called Straight Talk and Gay Brother. I had brought my then ex to my brother's wedding with the said girlfriend who came with me to come out. So I've been fine within my family. I've never had issues being gay at work, ever.
No, I haven't.
And right now I've been out longer than I've been in. So, I mean, I'll be 38. I came out when I was 18. So, it's more than a phase. I would say it's more than a phase.
It was very different for me. I didn't do that, but I think that my grandparents raised me, you know, I never had to deal with any type of hate crime. I was very blessed in that way, and I didn't really get shunned from my family like I hear happens a lot to people.
That was my big concern because I had a religious family.
Shunned.
And I'd heard all those stories.
Yes,
so.
I didn't, and I was brought up Roman Catholic and Lutheran. I had two families going on there because there was a divorce involved. But the person who didn't like it the most was my father, and that was the wrath that I had to deal with. Now, I was kind of disconnected a little bit from him by that point, so it wasn't quite as bad, but there were some knockout fights. I mean, there were some terrible, horrible, mean things said about me, and you dress like women, you want to dress like a woman, you want to put makeup on, and I'm like, and this is uneducated, like knows nothing. Now, at that time, I'm a little bit older than Steven. I mean, this was like the 80s, and at that time, the AIDS epidemic was in full swing, and at that time, people who didn't understand what was going on, everybody was in a panic, and AIDS was a gay disease. AIDS was a bad person disease. Bad person, gay person. And it took years to kind of undo that in society. I mean, I lived through the whole thing. I mean, when Liberace and Rock Hudson, when they died, from AIDS, and it was, it was much like it is today with Corona, but this was AIDS.
Took Reagan a few minutes to mention it.
Yeah, it did.
Just saying.
And so, coming out in the 80s, you also had that attached to it.
Yeah.
Which was, a little scary. So maybe that's why I didn't come out. I don't know. All I know is that it just naturally happened for me. I just started. And I tell you, when I finally accepted it myself, was when I had my first kiss with a guy, and it was so nice. Set the scene. We were in my car. We were in a Sears parking lot. It was snowing out.
Oh, that's nice.
And we were just talking, and we kissed, and I got excited. I was like, this is what was missing. It was excitement, and it was thrilling, and I had feelings that I hadn't felt before.
That's what I had too. I was like, something
nice.
clicked immediately.
Something
and it
clicked
was like
right away. Yes. Yeah, it was so nice.
The implications of that came later. I'm like, if I'm going to pursue this, it's gonna be there's only a few different ways. I either have an open lifestyle and I pursue this.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to what I was doing and I do it on the slide.
Yeah.
You know, and just try to have a normal life, which...
Yeah, and some people do that. Some people live a slide kind of life there.
My parents went to school with a guy, 4 kids. He's their age, so he's late 60s. Mm-hmm. And then came out like 4 years ago. Yeah. All those years. And I'm sure he doesn't regret having a family and kids and all that stuff, but this was in him that entire time. So he was maybe not being his authentic self.
For quite a while.
It's sad,
because you do have an inner turmoil. There is this inside conflict that goes on sometimes, and without supportive people in my life, I often wonder, could it have gone a different way?
Yeah.
I don't know, but that was the turning point for me, was that kiss, and I never saw him after that night. We some heavy petting and stuff, but I didn't see him after that night, but it did. There was a marked change in my life at that point. Yeah. Because I knew, this is right. It feels right, so it has to be right. It has to be right. So no more playing the game. No more, trying to be something that I'm not, and all that. So it was a nice experience and a very fond memory that night. Yeah. With the snow falling. It was nice.
I think my first moment of having the gay lifestyle, because I had moved from Scranton to Philadelphia, and I was in the 3 months between starting school, I was staying with a girlfriend of mine in the suburbs. And I went to Zando, which then became Cozy coffee shops. And I went and just walked right over to a guy who was younger, who was my age, and started flirting and got his number. And I was like, this is how it's done. My first week there, I had 3 dates. Now, one of the consequences I found of coming out later is that I had delayed relationship maturity. Like the first boyfriend I have, I was gushing like a 15-year-old boy-girl type, you know. Really insecure, really immature, really devastated by nonsense. I mean, I was not acting like an 18 or 19-year-old. I was acting like a much younger teenager. So it took me a while to catch up. To be an adult about relationships. That was the only thing that was delayed by me not coming out. Yeah. But, my God, I would have had to have been homeschooled if I came out in Carbondale in the late 90s. I mean, it would have been quite the change. Yeah. So,
but... And with the lifestyle, too, I was, I think it probably... I would imagine this would have happened either way, but it paved the way for me starting my own theater, gaining a bit of confidence that I didn't have prior to that. When I accepted it myself. And like I said, it was no big thing that I had to do. It was that night, and it was kind of just a change in thinking, And so stereotypically, I was a musical theater major. I was the president of our drama club in high school. I had my own theater company that I had started in my senior year of high school, and then went on for 15 years after that. So I always was very active in the theater. Yeah. I liked arts and crafts, I liked gardening, I loved cooking and baking, so...
You're about to fly right out of here,
stereotypically, yes.
I had some of the similar. I was in theater when I was in high school. I was in the choir. I liked singing more than act. I can't act, so I did singing and a bit of that kind of stuff. It was just, but I was also a greasy, slimy dishwasher at a restaurant. I was never too pretty for anything. Yeah. Pretty much. I was not a diva, as it were. Yeah. So it was, I never ran with that kind of crowd at the club. Yeah. I would just chug gin and tonics and chain smoke. Yeah. I was never out with the boys.
Yeah.
In that sort of way. Yeah, oh, the girls. No. Yeah, oh my God, we are just like Sex in the City.
Oh my God, that's too hot.
I will give it this though, as I'm turning voices and making fun of those in the community. The guys who are particularly effeminate, which I find now that I'm older and a little bit less, and it's not acting, I kind of grew out of it a little bit. Those guys get more shit than the rest of us because they're more visible.
They're more visible.
Because they're more
effeminate.
Because their authentic self tends to be a bit more vibrant. Yeah. They draw more attention and they draw more flack too.
They do.
So while I might go, oh, he's living his best life. Yeah. At the same time, if there's going to be discrimination, it's probably going to be against him and not me. So I try to keep in mind the younger brethren. Yeah. And their own challenges.
Yeah. So. And it's kind of, in a way, educating people about it, too. in my father's case, now his was blatant, outright ignorance and hatred. I mean, there was no.
To be
other
fair,
word
he
to
didn't like
say.
anybody.
He didn't like anyone. Anybody. We
In his
had a very
defense, he hated
tumultuous
everybody.
relationship. But because a guy is gay does not mean that he likes to wear dresses.
Mm-hmm.
Because a guy is gay does not mean that he likes to wear makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Not all gays are pedophiles.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've heard that one throughout my life.
Yeah.
I want to keep him away from my kids because he's gay. Why?
Yeah. Not.
No.
Things
Things like that. Those are the type of things that tend to kind of upset me a little bit because, I don't hear that much anymore. But back then, back then, definitely. But, I always was, I think, because of my upbringing and as a very young child, my dad was very involved with a motorcycle gang, the Pagans, in southeastern Pennsylvania, and I remember those guys taking me in. At such a young age, I remember riding in the cars and being with those guys all the time, throughout my life, I always had, and so then I found myself attracted always to older men and pretty, manly men? How do you
alpha male,
like
assertive.
alpha male, assertive,
See,
manly
as he eats
men.
the banana with his feet.
Yes, and I always tended to be, drawn towards that type of a male figure throughout my whole life. And I always felt most comfortable with straight men. I didn't feel comfortable with gay men. I didn't feel comfortable with women. A lot of gay men sometimes feel very comfortable in the company of women. Solely.
Yeah, most of my best
outside of the
friends
people they're
were
dating.
Women.
Right, it was never like that for me. I always, I don't know. And like I said, I think it might have been my upbringing. I don't know, I don't know what it is. But I always felt, and I always was, and again, I don't know why I was a gay male, but I was always accepted by straight men. Even I did a bout in jail. I fit in very nicely in jail.
Did too. It was bizarre. I was like Counselor Troy.
I was going to, yes,
Guys would come in and they would talk. And they'd get a letter from their girlfriend, and they'd come and sit on my rack, and they would get emotional, and they would start to well up a little bit. And at the end of it, they would say, "I don't know why I'm telling you all of this. It's like talking to a girl." That sounds insulting. Don't assume my gender. It was meant as a compliment. It means I feel like I can open up to you in a way I can't to other guys. And thing is, though, I'm not a threat to their masculinity because I'm just the cell, whatever. And they'd come back, and I'd give them a hard candy. Usually, I'd give them a Jolly Rancher and send them on their way.
Oh, that's funny.
It happened quite often.
Yeah.
And I was happy to do it, because they had no one to talk to, and they have to posture in front of the other guys, so they can't talk about it.
No.
So, I got along just fine in jail. So.
And I think being a chef, too, I've worked in a lot of kitchens, and, a lot of loud, very alpha male chefs, like they tend to be alpha.
They're very passionate,
guys. So I think it's just what we were like exposed to and brought up with, and
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. You're pretty much the most feminine guy I've ever been with.
Yay. Yeah. I don't.
But that's one thing too about a gay relationship too that I actually learned from you. Like in my head, being attracted to straight acting men, and having this preconceived notion in my head that a gay relationship had to be just like a heterosexual relationship in the roles. There had to be an alpha male and then the partner.
Yeah.
Just like there is a husband who, stereotypically is the breadwinner and the man, and the wife who is, stereotypically feminine and
Yeah.
I thought that's the way that it had to be in a gay relationship. So many years, that's what I sought out.
Yeah.
And I thought that that's the way it had to be when that's not the case. Stephen actually taught me, through our relationship, that one of the nice things about a gay relationship is the versatility of the roles within the relationship, if that makes sense. There's know, like, you know, how many times have you been asked who's the boy and who's the girl?
Oh, God, yeah.
So many times in the relationship.
No one's the girl, dumbass. That's what makes us gay.
Exactly. Exactly, you know.
So...
Very, very... Very interesting. Interesting.
This will be my last thought on that. Alice, who was my step-grandmother, who passed away earlier this year, it was like in March or something like that, she got it, because my grandfather, Ever the Mac, had married to her. He was in his 70s. I think he was 75, and she was 68. I was an altar boy at their wedding. And later in life, he had passed away, and we kept her. And we collect people in my family. Come on, there's a table for 3, let's go. And she had used the word companion. And she was like, oh yeah, you know, Mark is just good companion. Good, you know, she used the word companion. She did ask who'd be wearing the dress, but she was 90. Because she didn't understand that there could be a marriage that didn't involve a dress.
Yeah.
I think she couldn't get her head around it.
Yeah.
But she married my grandfather late. They weren't going to have kids. They weren't going to get together and have a family. They weren't going to probably go buy a house. They just wanted to keep each other company.
Yeah.
And they'd go to Atlantic City and play their slots and go get their lotto tickets and go to church and have coffee at noon. And I mean, that was what she wanted out of the relationship. She got it, you know.
Yeah.
And so she got us, I think, too.
Yeah, so she got it, yeah.
Which was nice. It was reassuring that she just, you know, you expect the greatest generation, maybe you'd get some flack, but she got it.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to get a lecture in gay rights to get it.
Right.
She just got it because people's is people's.
Yeah.
You know, which
and
was
that's
nice.
the way the important people in my family were.
Yeah.
My mother, my grandparents. They never questioned it. They never, you know. In fact, I remember well into a relationship I was in, my grandmother saying, you know, that well, you know, I don't know if I was having a fight or so, I don't know what was going on, but she said to me, Mark, you know, love is love. You love each other, and that's all that counts. And it took me back a second. She was talking about me and my partner at the time, you know, and that was the first time that she outright said that she acknowledged the fact that I was gay and in a relationship, you know. But we never had talked about it before, but it was accepted, you know. It just wasn't spoken about, and not even like dirty little secret. It was just, it is what it is, and it was what it was, and so I was very, very lucky. And in that way, I've known people that had a very, very hard time coming out, and, you know, been shunned from their families and fired from their jobs and beaten on the streets simply because
I got egged a couple times.
Yes. And
beer bottle whiz past your head. Have the whole frat scream "nice purse, queer" when you're walking by.
Yeah.
It was a messenger bag. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just clear the air.
But so I don't know.
But
I guess
we're living comfortably.
We are.
And we have each other. And we're out.
We are out. I don't deny it anymore.
And I'm not interested in going back in.
Y'all know how I struggled with my age. You know, I don't deny it anymore. I don't hide it. I don't, I mean, it did take a little bit to get to that point, you know, but I am who I am now, and I don't have to answer to anybody, and and I also, I don't need to throw it in anybody's face as well.
No, I don't wear a sandwich board. When I first came out, I was much more of the activist because I was 20.
Yeah.
So, you know, parades, I was vice president of the gay and lesbian student group at my university. And then as I got older, I was like, my advocacy is just living in my normal life.
Yes. Yeah.
That's my advocacy.
I think a lot of times where it goes wrong with, you know, being gay, and that is our gay men who have to throw it on people all the time, like Bible thumpers that, you know, try to convert you, and it's the only way, and da 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 da. Well, that can happen in the gay community as well. Gay men can be overbearing in, you know, on purpose. Yeah. You know, like you said, sandwich board, I'm gay, I'm here, in your face, in almost, you know, which I don't agree with it.
Well, fair is fair. I mean, gay people can be in your face, but it's the Christians that knock on our door.
Well, this is true.
With a Bible and want to talk.
Well,
I've never had a gay couple invite me to a circuit party.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Not all Christians. I'm just, the evangelization portion of it is
sometimes, you know, can be.
They look gay too.
You know, I was thinking that the other day.
The one time
the
we were in Boston,
Jehovah's Witnesses came to the door.
They were very handsome.
Last week. They're very handsome, very metro-looking, handsome.
Ties, shirts. They're all lean.
I would size them up, which I try not to do with anybody. As being gay, I would, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't. They were Jehovah's Witness. But,
yeah. Well, at any rate, I think the pounding has stopped. So
I think so. I'm hoping so.
I think so.
Anyway,
it's been 11 hours. So.
Yes, it has, and so has this video.
It has. Well, you only come out once.
This is true.
So it's only Pride Month once a year.
Yeah.
So
did we tell our story?
I think so.
Or did we get sidetracked?
I ended up gay at the end. I think that's enough.
I'm gay too, so I guess we did.
Yeah, I think that's fine. So, well, Pride this year, between COVID and other social issues that brought gay folks to allies so we can stand for with other causes that are important too.
Yeah.
So we did give a nod to Pride Month.
Yes.
Coming out stories. We'll see you next Pride Month for some other gay stuff. I imagine it will come up again before next year that we're gay. Probably.
Yeah, we don't tend to talk about
Well,
it
we're not a gay channel.
on
We're just a channel with two guys who happen to be gay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching this channel with two guys who happen to be gay. Please do subscribe, hit the like button and the bell on your way out to get the alerts. You can follow Mark and I on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc, or on Instagram, SmokeySteveAndMarc, or on Twitter at SmokeySteveA.
Yeah.
You've been eliminated.
That's the handle. It's SmokeySteveA. They picked it, I didn't.
Our email address and contact info is all listed below. Thank you again, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow for Wacky Wednesday.
Oh, yes, we will.
I'm not sure what's making it wacky this week. We'll see.
I don't know, but we were sent something to us by a viewer.
We'll see how this goes.
See.
I'm rather self-conscious about my teeth.
Not sure.
We'll see how this goes.
I know. We'll see. We're gonna give it a whirl. We'll see.
We'll see how this plays out.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I hope you found our coming out stories at least entertaining, if not interesting. And it was great spending time with you. Please, everybody, stay safe and stay well, but above all else, stay positive. Okay. We'll see you next time. Ciao.